Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic today is World AIDS Day Outreach. And we have with us this morning to talk about World AIDS Day Outreach, Ms. CWyatt-Morley. Ms. Wyatt-Morley is the president and the founder and CEO of an organization called WOMEN, which is located in Nashville, Tennessee. And with Ms. CWyatt-Morley is Mr. BStuart. Mr. Stewart is the education outreach individual for this organization called Women, WOMEN. And of course, Ms. Wyatt-Morley, we got through all of that in some way or the other. But let us welcome both you and Mr. Stewart to the show this morning to talk about this special day in terms of what we've tried to do against this disease, AIDS. And this is World AIDS Day, and of course we're going to talk about some of the efforts to reach other people about that. But before we get into that, let's have you and later Mr. Stewart to give us some information about some of the things that are important in your life that got you involved in what we're dealing with now, and perhaps to talk about the organization that you had, WOMEN.
Yes. WOMEN is the acronym for Women on Maintaining Education and Nutrition, and we are a grassroots nonprofit AIDS service organization. And I became involved with HIV/AIDS in 1994 when I was diagnosed with the disease itself in 1994, April of '94. And completely devastated by that diagnosis, completely taken aback by a diagnosis of HIV, took me completely by surprise, changed my life, the lives of my children, and did a 180-degree turnabout in everything that I knew about HIV, because before then I knew nothing about the disease. So it definitely has changed my life, and that was the beginning of my brush with
Your
HIV.
involvement in what we're dealing with now. You never thought that you would be involved in something like this? Not at all. My life's direction was completely different. I had spent the first 25 years of my life in dance and theater, and had expected to spend the rest of my life in doing dance and theater, and then I had also a automobile manufacturing background, and those were the things that I was involved with. Nothing to do with HIV and AIDS until again as I was diagnosed. And of course we'll get into more of that later on, but let's have Mr. BStuart to give us some information about your background and your education and how you became involved with this disease, AIDS, HIV.
How I became involved with HIV and AIDS and with women, 10 years ago I used to live in Orlando, Florida, and I was a trial clerk. And I remember one day when I was in court, they brought in all these people for their case, and every last one was HIV. And I'm like, well, what is this all about? And that stayed with me, and I started reading up on it. But eventually, several months later, I ended up moving to Nashville. I got my first start working with the health department as an HIV counselor. Also, I was an outreach worker. Now, you have heard that commercial, we have come a long way, baby. Well, 10 years ago, when I was doing outreach, it was very hard. Time has changed, 10 years later. I'm much comfortable now as far as doing outreach than as I was doing at the very beginning, because at the very beginning, no one didn't want to hear anything about HIV and AIDS. So when I go into the community, I was shot at, I got ran out of the neighborhood, but I kept going back. So I was determined, I was on a mission, and that mission was to go into the community and to teach our community about HIV and AIDS. So my background, I have an associate degree and a bachelor's degree that I received from East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, Tennessee. But I received my master's degree working in the streets here in Nashville, Tennessee. So, like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years now, and when I joined Women, I already knew what I was stepping into. So my job with women, is to go out on the streets every day and we have 6 kits that we make up. You know, we have condoms, we have education about women, you know, and other things that, and other material that that we can give to the in our community. You know, I know at the very beginning it was called the black community, then it was called the Afro-American, then it's called the African-American. You know, so I see the changes. But then again, going into all these past years, things are much easier for me now. More people are now more receptive of our outreach, because at the very beginning, when I used to tell a lot of my friends, and I'm HIV negative, but I used to tell my friends that, hey, I work with HIV and AIDS patients. I was kicked out. I was asked to leave. I was invited to a friend's house, and also I was told that I had to eat out of paper plate, all because I was working with
that you worked with it. And of course, Ms. Wyatt-Morley, I would imagine that you've had some experience over the last couple of years of seeing that kind of change in reference to what you're doing. Why don't you talk about some of those changes you've seen?
Well, to piggyback off of what Mr. Stewart was saying, I, as a person living with the disease, have been thrown out of people's homes, have been ostracized, lost a very prominent job with a very large manufacturing plant here, ostracized from the Catholic Church that I was a member of.